Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our new topic on general mathematics. We will have the rational inequalities. What is our target skill for today? We need to determine the critical values and we need to solve the rational inequalities. Now, these critical values are also known as the meaningful values or the zeros in a certain polynomial expression. Now, I want you to remember that these are the things that we've discussed in the previous lesson, the rational function, the rational equation, and the rational inequality. And we will focus right now about the rational inequality, which means that this is an inequality involving the rational expressions. Na ang gagamiting mga symbols ay equal sign, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, the function notation, and the infinity. So, among these math symbols, ang karaniwang magagamit natin dyan is yung mga greater than and less than or equal to. Ganun din po ang infinity symbol. Okay? So, I want you to remember this part. We have this -2, 1. And the very first observation, ang mababasa natin dyan is -2, 1. But look at the symbols that I've used. We have here the parenthesis on the left side and we have the bracket on the right side. So may ibang ibig sabihin yan. Pagka parenthesis ang ginamit, it only means that that is not included in the solution set. So, these two numbers does not represent an ordered pair. Kasi di ba karaniwan, yan yung value ng x at saka ng y. But by this video lesson, hindi ibig sabihin yan ay ordered pair. It only means the solution set. Pag sinabi nating solution set, ito yung mga possible values ng x or yung variable doon sa isang rational inequality. So remember, pagka parenthesis, it is not included on the solution set. Then pagka brackets, kabaliktaran naman po, it is included in the solution set. Now what does it mean? When using a number line, so this one is a number line, ilocate natin si -2, so that is on the left side of the zero. Since it is not included, hindi siya parte ng solusyon, hindi siya value ng x, kumbaga boundary lang siya. Pag sinabing open circle, it means that that is not included on the solution set. Pero pagka shaded circle, it only means that that is included in the solution set. Kaya yung 1 dyan, yan ay naka-shaded circle. Ngayon, ano ulit ang ibig sabihin ng -2, 1? So, ibig sabihin, boundary lang si -2. Mula kay -2 papunta kay 1, nandyan yung mga values ng x. O yung mga possible values dun sa isang rational inequality. Pero, dahil open circle si -2, hindi nga siya kasama doon sa values. Ngayon, ang tawag dito ay solution set. So please take note of this. Open circle for not included and shaded circle for included in the solution set. Yan ang ginagamit sa number line. Now, how to solve the rational inequalities? Let's take note of the step-by-step process. In every book, syempre may iba't iba namang ways on how to solve this. But I would like you to share with you kung paano ko siya mas lalong naiintindihan. So solve for the inequality 2x over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 1. So the first thing in mind, we need to rewrite the inequality as a single fraction on one side of the inequality symbol and 0 on the other side. What does it mean? Rewrite. Kumbaga sa ibang mga books, ibang references, ang sinasabi dyan ay we need to write it in standard form. Di ba? Pagka sa equation, pagka sa standard form, on the right side, or basta sa isang side ng inequality, dapat mag-0 yon. Okay, so babaguhin natin yung itsura niyan. So coming from here, 2x over x plus 1 na given is greater than or equal to 1. Kumbaga, ang shortcut natin dito yung 1, tina-transfer natin on the other side. Or in short, that is the addition property of equality. Okay? So, magiging 2x over x plus 1 minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. So, syempre, nilipat mo na si 1 eh. From positive, magiging negative. Kaya 0 na yung nasa kabilang side. Okay? So, hindi pa tayo natatapos dyan. Ito pa lang ang natatarget natin, 0 on the other side. Kailangan daw ma-transform natin into a single fraction. So, ibig sabihin, itong 2x over x plus 1 minus 1, gagawin lang natin iisang fraction. Pagsasamahin na natin. Na ang LCD natin dito ay, balikan natin yung nakaraang video, yan ay x plus 1. So, ibig sabihin, mag-multiply tayo ng x plus 1 on all the, as the least common denominator. Okay? So, mas padaliin na lang natin yung proseso. So, kumbaga, x plus 1 divided by x plus 1 is 1. And then times 2x. So, that is 2x. And then, whole number to, alam nating lahat na yan ay may over 1. So, x plus 1 divided by 1 is still x plus 1. Then, times 1, ganun pa din. So, we will have x plus 1 here. Okay? And then, greater than or equal to 0. So, I hope that's clear. And then, we're going to simplify. Okay? So, paano isi-simplify, ma'am? Eh, di ba parang may over 1 yan kasi. No, it's not over 1. May 1 yan dito outside the parenthesis. Kumbaga, tinidistribute lang natin. Okay? Kasi minus yan eh. Hindi naman pwedeng i-parehas lang. So, 2x minus x minus 1. Okay? Huwag malilito. Negative 1 times x is negative x and negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. So, doon ang galing yun. And then, copy lang yung denominator natin, yung LCD natin kanina. And then, simplifying this, we will have x minus 1 over x plus 1. So, that is now our single fraction. So, nagawa na natin yung step 1. So, all throughout in solving these given, ang gagamitin na natin is ito x minus 1 over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so that is step 1. Now, our step 2 here is to determine the critical values. O, bagong term na naman yan. Katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina in the introduction, once we say critical values, these are the values that will make the numerator and denominator equal to 0. Or in short, ito yung zeros of the polynomial function. Kasi nga, di ba, polynomial yung numerator at saka denominator natin? Or sa ibang reference, ang tawag dyan ay meaningful values. So, kung ano man ang tawag dyan, iisa lang ang ibig sabihin yan. So, gamitin natin yung ginawa natin kaninang single fraction. So, x minus 1 over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. So, sabi, kunin natin ang numerator. So, sa numerator, ang numerator natin ay x minus 1. Okay, equate natin kay 0. Bakit? Kasi kailangan natin kunin yung zeros o yung value ng x. So, lilipat natin si negative 1, magiging x is equal to 1. Okay? Now, this x is equal to 1 is what we call now the critical value. Okay? Then, let's now proceed on the denominator. Let's have x plus 1 is equal to 0. Transfer natin ulit, magiging x is equal to negative 1. So, ang critical values natin is x is equal to 1 and x is equal to negative 1. So, these are the values that will make the numerator and denominator equal to 0. So, please do remember that. Bakit kailangan tandaan? Kasi ito na yung step 3. Using yung critical values natin kanina, we need to divide the number line into intervals. So, ang critical values natin kanina, sulat ko lang po ulit. X is equal to 1 at saka x is equal to -1. So having a number line, so I hope you could also recall a number line. I always start with 0 because that is the origin. Ang nasa right side ay laging mga positive integers at ang nasa left side ay laging mga negative integers. Okay? So, ilocate na natin si -1 at saka si 1. So, si 1 muna, siya yung nasa kanan. Sabi kasi dito, divide the number line into intervals. So, gamit tayo ng other color para makita natin. So, andito si 1. So, andyan yung isang boundary natin. Tapos yung -1, andito naman sa kaliwa ng 0. So as you can notice, how many parts do we have? Or how many intervals? You have this part A, mula kay -1, going down kasi mas pababa pa ang values niyan. And then yung gitna ng -1 and 1, that's part B. And then we also have the part C, yung nasa kanan naman ng 1. So, kumbaga, boundaries natin si -1 and 1. Okay? So, yan yung critical values. So, gagamitin natin yan in step 4. We need to identify if the critical values are included or not of the solution set. Use open circle. I want to emphasize this. Open circle in a number line if the critical value is not part of the solution. Yan yung binanggit ko na sa inyo kaninang remember. And then yung shaded circle, it only means included na. Okay? So, gawin natin yung kanina. So, ang critical values natin, nahin natin si x is equal to 1. Gamit yung kanina nating step 1, yung x minus 1 over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Palitan lang natin. We're going to substitute. Palitan lahat ng x ng 1. So, magiging 1 minus 1 is over x plus 1. Palitan din natin tong x ng 1. Sorry. Okay, and then i-test natin kung talaga bang greater than yan or equal to 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. Then what is 0 divided by 2? So it will become 0 is greater than or equal to 0. Is it true? Greater than ba siya or papantay ba siya? Yes, it is true. So, ibig sabihin, 1 is part of the solution set. Okay, so kung babalikan natin yung number line kanina, drawing lang ulit natin. So, on your paper, hindi nyo na kailangang ulit-ulitin mag-drawing. Basta mag-drawing lang kayo ng isa. Kaya ako lang inuulit-ulit kasi in every slide, pinapakita ko yung steps. Okay? Para hindi tayo malito. Iniisa-isa kong maigi para guided tayo. So, nabanggit ko na kanina na si 1 ay part ng solution. So, gagamit tayo dahil part included siya. Shaded circle ang gagawin natin. So, andito si 1, shaded natin. So, ibig sabihin, parte siya ng ating values ng x. Okay? So, ang isusunod naman na itetest natin ay ang isa pang critical value, which is -1. So, ganun ulit. Start tayo dun sa ating single fraction on step 1. Palitan lang ulit ng -1 yung lahat ng x. So, -1 minus 1 over -1 plus 1. Is greater than or equal to 0. -1 minus 1, that is -2. And then -1 plus 1 is 0. At binanggit ko na ito sa inyo dati na bawal maging 0 ang denominator because it will become undefined. So automatic, yung mga critical values na makukuha natin on the denominator, it will become undefined once na sinubstitute natin. So, ibig sabihin yan, it's not part of the solution set. So, anong gagamitin nating circle? Very good. Ang gagamitin na natin dito kay negative 1 ay open circle. Okay? So, pakitandaan po iyan. And this one is now the last step. We need to choose a convenient test point in the interval. What does it mean? Drawing lang ulit natin for the sake na matandaan natin for proper illustration. Okay. So, alam na natin na itong si 1 ay shaded circle, tapos si negative 1 ay open circle. Pinakita ko na rin sa inyo kanina na meron tayong partitions, yun yung interval natin. We have here part A, part B, and part C. Kukuha tayo dyan ng test point. Okay? So, sa test point, piliin natin yung mas malapit na doon sa ating boundaries, ating critical values, para mas madalian tayo sa pagsasubstitute natin. Okay? So, dito sa part A, ang piliin na natin yung malapit kay negative 1. So, that is negative 2. So, this is our test point. Okay? Ngayon, sa part B, syempre, kunin na natin yung 0. So, yan yung test point natin. And then, yung part C, yung mas mababa na ang kunin natin. So, that is 2. Kumbaga, ang mga test points natin is itong negative 2, 0, and 2. Okay? So, with that test point, we're going to substitute. Okay? So, substitute na po tayo. Sana sabayan niyo po ako, no? So, we will have x minus 1 over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Yan yung sa step 1. So, si x papalitan na natin ng negative 2. And then, just simplify. The negative 2 minus 1, the answer there is negative 3. And then negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. And negative 3 divided by negative 1, that is positive 3. And, iyan po ba ay greater than or equal to 0? Yes, of course. Mas malaki si 3 kesa kay 0. So, this one is true. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng nasa kaliwa ng negative 1 ay parte ng solution. So, highlight lang po natin. Bakit mo hinighlight, ma'am? Kaya nga parang siyang shaded, di ba? It's parang shaded circle. Ibig sabihin yan, lahat ng nandiyan ay parte ng solution. Ngayon, ilagay na natin yung interval. Okay? So, dahil nasa kaliwa ng negative 1, ibig sabihin yan ay puro negative numbers. Kaya ang symbol ay negative infinity. Tapos ang boundary natin ay negative 1. At dapat parenthesis din ang katabi kasi nga hindi siya parte ng solution. So yan ang interval dito sa letter A or sa part A. Okay? Next, part B. So ganun ulit, x minus 1 over x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Lahat ng x papalitan ng 0. So 0 minus 1 over 0 plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. And then, negative 1 divided by 1 is negative 1. And mas malaki ba si negative 1 kesa kay 0? O papantay man lang ba siya? Hindi po. So that one is a false. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng nasa pagitan ng negative 1 at saka ng 1 is not part of the solution. Okay? Now, let's proceed on part C. X is equal to 2. Substitute lang ulit. Let's always start with the transformation of the given. So, substitute x by 2. So, 2 minus 1 over 2 plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, is 1/3 greater than or equal to 0? Yes, of course. Kahit maliit lang yung pagkaka-increase niyan, okay lang yan. So, true pa din yan. So with that case, i-highlight lang ulit natin, ibig sabihin, mula kay 1, papunta sa kanan. Lahat iyan ay parte ng solution. So kahit anong i-substitute mo dyan sa ating mga sinedan, magtutrue iyan doon sa ating inequality. Okay? So kunin na natin yung ating interval. So mula kay 1, shaded circle, parte ng solution, kaya bracket. So magsa-start kay 1, papunta ng kanan. Hindi natin alam kung hanggang saan yun. Kaya ang symbol ay positive infinity. So pagka infinity, laging parenthesis ang katabi niya kasi we do not know the distinct number kung saan siya mag-end. So, lagay na natin ang ating solution set. Ibig sabihin, yan yung final answer na natin. Negative infinity to negative 1 at saka kay, dapat bracket. So we will now have 1 to positive infinity. So ganyan lang ba yan basta? Hindi po. Gagamitan natin yan ng union kasi ang ibig sabihin yan ay or. Diba? Nung grade 7 tayo. Kasi ito, pwede pa natin yang baguhin. May iba pa siyang itsura. X such that X ay pag sinabing nasa kaliwa ng negative 1, is that greater than or less than? Mas mababa, di ba? Kaya dapat less than negative 1. Or, may isa pa tayong boundary, yung kay 1, nasa kanan, greater than or less than ba siya? Okay, dahil mas malaki ang mga nasa kanan ng 1, kaya yan ay greater than 1. Pero dahil kasama sa solution si 1, so dapat may equal to sa baba. Okay? So these are the two ways of writing the final answer. So kahit ano dyan, tama po iyan. So that is now our final answer. Okay? So I hope klaro, pag sinolve natin to, pag sinubstitute natin ang mga values na to, mag-a-agree yan dito sa given natin. Okay? So pagsama-samahin na natin sa isang example. So the next example here is the x plus 1 over 2 minus x is less than or equal to 0. So we need to skip the step 1. Kasi single fraction na to. Tapos 0 na yung nasa isang side. So okay na yan. So this is now good for step 1. So step 2 na tayo. So ang step 2 natin, we need to get the critical values. Okay? So kunin natin daw yung numerator. So sa numerator, meron tayong x plus 1 is equal to 0. So magiging x is equal to negative 1. Tapos, yung denominator natin ay 2 minus x is equal to 0. Kung gusto ko nang padaliin ang buhay natin, no? Kasi ang x dito ay negative. So, para hindi ba tayo mas mahabang proseso, kailangan naman yung maging positive, siya na lang ilipat natin. So, in short, that is x is equal to 2. Okay, so that is a reflexive property. So, parehas lang naman yan. So, ito na yung ating critical values. So, ngayon, kailangan na natin siyang ilagay sa number line. Di ba po? So, wag tayong malilito. Pakiayos lang ang pagdodrawing ng number line. So, negative 1 ang boundary natin at saka positive 2. You can choose as well other color para hindi nakakalito, ha? So, negative 1, tapos yung 2. So, ilang parts ulit tayo, ilang interval. We have part A, part B, and part C. Okay? Now, we're going to test our critical values kung sila ba ay parte ng solution o hindi. So, step 4, test the critical values. Para sa madaling usapan na lang. Okay? So, using x is equal to negative 1. So, mangyayari dito ay, dito sa x plus 1 over 2 minus x is less than or equal to 0. So, substitute lang natin si x ng negative 1. Okay? And then we're going to simplify. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. And then 2 minus negative 1 is 3. And then 0 divided by 3 is 0. And that is also less than or equal to 0. So this one is true. So dahil true siya, negative 1 is part of the solution. So anong gagamitin nating symbol sa number line? Shaded or open circle? Very good. Kasi part, dapat shaded. Okay? So ito yung negative 1. Shade natin. Okay. Diba? Kayang-kaya niya yan. Next naman, nasa denominator to, diba? So pagka sinabi ko na yan sa inyo, it will make the rational inequality undefined. So automatic, kasi pag yung x, pinalitan natin ng 2, 2 minus 2, 0, undefined na siya agad, matic, open circle na yan. Okay? So, ayan na. Dito na tayo sa last step. We will now proceed on step 5. Kukuha na tayo ng test points. Kung saan tayo mas madadalian, di ba? So, sa part A muna tayo. Kunin na natin si negative 2 kasi yun yung mas malapit kay negative 1. Okay? So, substitute na. X plus 1 over 2 minus x is less than or equal to 0. Palit. Negative 2 plus 1 over 2 minus negative 2 is less than or equal to 0. So, negative 2 plus 1, that is negative 1, over 2 minus negative 2 is 4. Mas mababa ba si negative 1/4 kay 0? Of course, that is negative. So, that one is true. So, ibig sabihin, solution yung nasa A. O, shade na natin. Okay? So, para meron tayong katibayan na parte siya ng solution. Okay? Ayusin ko lang tong isa kasi nag-over the bakod. Sorry. Okay? So, please be careful. Yan. Ngayon, gamitin na natin yung interval. Para mamaya sa finalization ng ating solution set, madali na tayo. So, nasa kaliwa ng negative 1. Kasama si negative 1 sa usapan. Okay, so, yan yung negative 1. Papunta ng kaliwa, kaya negative infinity. Okay? Now, part B tayo. Kunin na natin yung mandali. 0. Okay? So, we will now have x plus 1 over 2 minus x. Let's start with the basics para hindi nalilito. Basta kung kaya nyo nag-mental math, go. I will not stop you from doing it. Basta, ingat lang sa pagsosolve. Okay? So, 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 2 minus 0 is 2. Now, is 1/2 less than or equal to 0? Positive 2. Less than ba siya? Hindi po. So, ibig sabihin, part B is not also part of the solution. Okay? Now, let's start with part C. So, kunin na natin nasa kanan yung mas malapit. So, that is 3. So, ulit po ulit. Okay, yung x palitan ng 3. Then simplify. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Now, simplifying this, we will have negative 4. Negative yan, nasa kaliwa ng 0, and that is true. So, ibig sabihin, parte ng solution. Okay, letter C. Shade natin. Okay? Ginagawa ko lang itong mga shading portions para mas lalo niyong maintindihan. Okay? Ngayon, ay gawin na natin yung interval. So, hindi kasama si 2, parenthesis. Papunta ng kanan, positive infinity. So, ngayon, ilagay na natin ang solution set. So, we will have negative infinity to negative 1, bracket, union with 2 to positive infinity. Big sabihin, either, kahit saan, yung kaya nga or, di ba? So, gawin na natin yung isa pa. Or tayo, nasa kaliwa ng negative 1, so that is less than or equal to. Bakit may equal to? Kasi bracket, shaded circle, parte ng solution. Sinabi ko na lahat. And then, yung isa naman ay 2, hindi kasama sa solution, kaya walang equal to. Greater than ang ginamit kasi nasa kanan ng 2. So, ganyan lang po, x such that x. So, yan na ang ating solution set. Okay? So, sana malinaw po ako. Let's now proceed to the next item. So, let's have the last 2 examples. So, syempre, kailangan may iba't iba tayong sinusolve para alam natin, di ba, kung ano yung gagawin. So, okay na ulit tayo sa step 1. Solve na tayo dyan. Single fraction, tapos 0 na sa isang side. Proceed na tayo ulit sa step 2. You can stop this video para itry nyo naman. Pagka continue nyo na lang, para mag-compare kayo kung tama yung ginagawa ninyo. Okay? So, step 2 ulit, critical values. May critical values pa ba dito sa numerator? Wala na, kasi whole number na siya eh. Okay? So, kukuha na tayo. So, sige nga po, lagay ko na po. No need for numerator. Kasi, yan ay whole number na. So, dito tayo ngayon sa denominator. So, ang denominator natin ay 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So, 2x, lipat si negative 1 magiging positive 1. Divide both sides by 2. Alam nyo na yan. So, you will have x is equal to 1/2. So, if that's the case, sinabi ko na sa inyo na pagka-denominator ay not part of the solution. Kasi siya ay magiging undefined. Okay? So, pagdating sa step 3, number line tayo. So, 0, negative 1, negative 2. We have here the 1, 2, and 3. Eh, nasan yung 1/2? Siyempre, nasa gitna yan ng 0 and 1. So, nandyan si 1/2. So, nandyan ngayon yung boundary natin. Okay? At sinabi ko na not part of the solution. So, ngayon, open circle lang to. Okay? So, may dalawa lang tayong parts. Okay po? So, ano-ano yung ating mga parts? We only have part A, nasa kaliwa ng 1/2, at nasa kanan ng 1/2 to part B. Okay? Ngayon, mag-test values na tayo. Okay? So, actually, no, baka malito pala kayo. Ito pala yung step 3 kanina yung undefined, at ito yung step 4. So, no matter what, basta sinusundan nyo lang, okay na yan. Okay? Sige na nga, baguhin ko na. Baka singilin nyo ako. So, ito yung step 4. Ngayon, step 5. So, test points. So, kunin na natin yung madali. So, 1/2. Katabi ng 1/2, kaliwang-kaliwa. Yan ay 0. So, part A. X is equal to 0. So, try nyo nga po. 3 over 2x minus 1 is less than 0. Palitan si x ng 0. Simplify natin. Kasi 2 times 0 is 0. Minus 1, negative 1. Okay? Then, 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. Mas mababa ba siya kaysa kay 0? Yes, of course. So, that is true. Totoo yan. Okay? Bumalik ko na naman ang aking pagko-color. I'm so sorry. Okay? So, ginagawa ko lang ulit ito para tayo malinawan sa buhay. The next one ay part B. So, madali lang to kasi part A and B lang. Mabilis lang tayo. Kunin na natin nasa kanan niya. 1, katabing-katabi. Okay, so start tayo ulit. Palitan yung x ng 1. Then, simplify. So, 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1. And then, 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Is it true or false? Very good. This one is false. Of course not. 3 will never be less than 0. Okay? So, ano solution set natin? Madali lang. Kaliwa, o di negative infinity. Hindi parte ng solution si 1/2. 1/2. Tapos, parenthesis. Ganun lang po. Wala nang union tsaka or kasi isang part lang naman yan eh. So, ang solution set natin ay negative infinity to 1/2. Okay? Or, other way of writing, ay yung x greater than or less than. Nasa kaliwa. Mas mababa, di ba? Kaya less than. And then, wala nang equal to. Kasi hindi naman parte ng solution si 1/2. So, kahit ano ulit saan, yan ang sagot. Okay? Sana malinaw ako. Last example. Solve for the inequality x squared plus 2x minus 3 over x squared minus 1 is less than 0. Kung yung case na yan, medyo mahirap yan, mga anakshis. Okay? Kasi, kung kanina, proceed na tayo sa step 2, ngayon, proceed ulit tayo sa step 1. Kasi, pwede nyo pang i-simplify. Yung pahirapan ng sarili ninyo. Okay? Kung kaya mag-simplify, mag-simplify. So, x squared plus 2x minus 3 over x squared minus 1 is less than 0. We're going to factor it out. Okay? So, factors ng x squared plus 2x minus 3 ay nga po, try nyo nga po. Okay, maraming salamat po. Yan po ay x plus 3, tsaka x minus 1. X squared kasi x and x. Negative 3, isang positive 3, tsaka isang negative 1. Okay? So, practice lang yan sa factoring. X squared minus 1, matagal ko na yung tinuro sa inyo. That is x plus 1 and x minus 1. And then, kung mapapansin nyo, mayroon tayong makakancel. Ay, tanggalin ang mga nagpapahirap sa buhay. Charot. So, magiging x plus 3 over x plus 1. So, yan na. Yan na yung ating step 1. So, ito na yung gagamitin natin all throughout. Okay? Next one ay step 2. Critical values. So, numerator ulit tayo. So, ang numerator natin ay x plus 3 is equal to 0. Lipat si 3 sa kabila. Magiging negative 3. And then, ang denominator ay x plus 1 is equal to 0. Palit si lipat pala. Sorry. Si 1 magiging negative 1. So, ito na ang ating critical values. Ngayon, step 3, number line. Tama pala yung kanina ginawa ko. So, kahit mabaligtad yung step 3 and 4, okay lang. Basta wag yung unahin yung step 5. Okay, so negative 3 and negative 1. Divide na natin ang intervals. So, ito si negative 3. Tapos, ito si negative 1. Meron ulit tayong part A, part B, and part C. Okay? So, ngayon, okay po. Gusto kong dagdagan yun dito sa part A. Yan. Para makita na agad natin test points. Okay? So, step 4. We're going to test critical values. Okay? So, negative 3. So, kunin natin to. So, magiging x plus 3 over x plus 1 is less than 0, palit ng negative 3. Sorry. Next ko tuloy ulit siya. Bakit po nagpaparamdam yung x na yan? Charot. Okay, so negative 3 plus 1. The negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Then negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. Is 0 less than 0? Of course not. Equal sila, no? So yeah, that one is false. Okay, so if that's the case, si negative 3 ay open circle. At binanggit ko na rin sa inyo, dahil denominator to, magiging undefined ulit yan. Okay, so sana paulit-ulit ko sinasabi, matandaan din natin. So yeah, ay not part. So open circle. Okay, so wag na natin mahirapan ng sarili natin. Papunta na tayo sa step 5. So test points. Kunin na yung pinakamadali. Okay, punta tayo sa part A. Sa part A natin, nakaliwa ng negative 3, negative 4. So, ganun ulit. X plus 3 over x plus 1 is less than 0. Yung x palitan ng negative 4. So, negative 4 din to. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And then, negative divided by negative is positive. Ang positive numbers ba ay mas mababa kay 0? Of course not. So, that one is false. So, hindi siya parte ng solution. Kalimutan natin si A. Charot. Next one, part B. So, part B, nasa kalagitnaan. Pagitna ng negative 3 tsaka negative 1. So, obvious. Kunin natin si negative 2. Ma'am, minsan, paano pagka gitna ng negative 2 tsaka negative 1? Kunin niyo yung fraction. So, carry lang yun. Okay lang kahit fraction. Okay, matakot sa fraction. So, negative 2 plus 3 over negative 2 plus 1. So, negative 2 plus 3 ay 1. Then, negative 2 plus 1 ay negative 1. Then, 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Less than 0. Negative 2, mas mababa kay 0. Di tumpak, ganun, true siya. So, ibig sabihin, shade na natin si letter B. Highlight natin. Okay, so, siya ay parte ng solusyon sa buhay. Okay po. So, identify na rin natin, anak, yung interval. Okay po. So, ang interval natin dito, mula kay negative 3, papunta kay negative 1. Okay, bakit mga parentheses? Kasi nga po, ay hindi kasama sa solusyon si negative 3 at saka po si negative 1. Okie-dokie? Ngayon, part C. Nakikita nyo na ba kung true or false siya? So, parang may pattern, ano? Kunin na natin mas madali sa part C, 0. So, x plus 3 over x plus 1 is less than 0. So, 0 plus 3, and then 0 plus 1. And then, 0 plus 3 is 3. 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Si 3 ba ay mas mataas kay, mas mababa kay 0? Positive to. So, that one is false. Ay, di ba madali lang? Practice lang ang kailangan. So, ibig sabihin, isa lang ulit ang solution set natin. And it's okay. So, ang solution set natin ay negative 3 papunta kay negative 1. Hindi yan ordered pair ha. Solution set yan. Or ulit tayo. So, boundary natin si negative 3 tsaka si negative 1. Andito si x. Okay? Ngayon, gagamit na tayo ng greater than or less than. Unahin mo natin si negative 3. Nasa kanan. O, greater than or less than? Siyempre, greater than. Okay? Ngayon naman, yung negative 1. Ano yung kinukuha natin? Nasa kaliwa niya, di ba? So, dapat less than. Okay? Kaya, yan po ang iba pang itsura ng ating solution set. Ulit, paano basahin ito, ma'am? X is greater than negative 3 or x is less than negative 1. So, ganun siya binabasa. Okay, so I hope that's clear. To sum it up, number 1, we need to rewrite inequality as a single fraction. Kaya nga nire-rewrite natin, tinatransform natin siya. on one side of the inequality, and then the other side should be 0. And then we need to get the critical values. Saan siya makukuha? Kunin sa numerator at sa denominator, equate it to 0 para makuha natin yung mga values ng x. Gamit ang critical values, we're going to divide the number line para makita natin yung mga parts. Kaya nga tayo nakakuha ng part A, B, and C, and so on. And then, after nun, identify natin si critical values if that is part of the solution or not. Pagka part ng solution, shaded circle. Pagka not part of the solution, open circle. And then we're going to get the test points. Kaya nagsasubstitute tayo, tapos para natin makuha yung ating solution set. Math may be difficult for most of us, but do not give up. Let us continue to practice and persevere. Math isip ng mabuti, mas tanong pag hindi maunawaan, mas usap tayo. Maraming salamat po.